Welcome, welcome, welcome. I want to not sit up and open so formally today. I'd like to open by lying down and begin with a little listening and a little bit of breathing. So if you do have the small bolster, then you could use this. It works very well for this. If you don't have the small bolster, fold up a blanket or a towel, or a blanket and or a towel. So I just folded this towel up. So as you can see, it kind of mimics the bolster. I just want to support the entire length of the spine sitting on the floor. So I actually tried it with this blanket on the bottom and towel rolled up on the top. But if you have the little bolster, use that. And what I would like to do with this to open, to relax and to breathe, is to sit on the floor in front of it. Don't let it bunch up like that did if you're using a towel. So just a little bit of support, and just let the entire spine just really drape over it and relax. Yeah. So this works, like I said, it works really well with the small bolster. If you're using the small bolster, you may, depending on the length of your torso, you may want to put a little something under your head. With this towel, I don't need it. And then just let your legs relax out, open them to a nice, comfortable place for the hips. Let your arms be at your sides, again, nice and comfortably. If you're a little chilly, you can pull a blanket up over you. But not a lot of compression for this, even if you're using the bolster, but more just to feel that the muscles of the spine can start to unengage and relax. So we're supporting the spine, but there's very little for the muscles to do. Oops. Okay, good. Okay, good. So just take a few moments to really arrive and settle in, and allow the just the energies and the momentums and any tensions that you've been holding for the day, just to start to release a bit. And I just wanted to start out by sharing with you something I read in a book that I'm reading. I'm reading this book by Carl Jung. It's called Memories, Dreams, and Reflections. And what's a little unique about this book in terms of his writing is he wrote it, it's the last book that he wrote, and he wrote it at the end of his life when he was in his 80s. And he was very clear that he was writing really more about sort of his take on his inner world in this late stage in his life, and not so much about sort of the outer framework of his work and just his commentary on it. So speaking of the ideas and the memories and his ability and willingness to sort of go into this inner world and explore it and express it, because that's exactly what we do in yoga, that we set the body as the framework, but then we slowly just draw the energy inward to start to explore this weaving, this tapestry of our inner energies, whether we're feeling them physically or psycho-emotionally. But what he said, let me share with you what he said. He said, all of this is nothing but islands of memories afloat in a sea of vagueness. And that just struck me as so incredibly beautiful and rather accurate as well. So the the invitation of this practice, the invitation of this approach to the body-mind complex, the body-heart complex, is to see if you can allow that to soften your emphasis on all of your thinking, to soften any small part of the heart that may be holding tension, allow the body to relax, and at the level of this inner world to see that it's really nothing more than islands of memory afloat in a sea of vagueness. Now the self-inquiry of yoga. So I'd like to begin by breathing in a conscious way, and I'm just going to guide a few of them and a few things to be aware of. Two reasons that I'm bringing an attention to our breathing in this way. The first one is to emphasize the transitional space between the breaths. And certainly this has great anatomical value, breathing this way, especially in terms of the oxygen and CO2 levels in our body when we hold a bit and retain a bit. So that's one benefit. The other benefit, which I really want to bring our attention to, is when we hold in these transitional spaces between the breaths, that this can be a very, very valuable place to explore spaciousness, explore this emptiness, this stillness, because nothing is really happening here. One breath has ended, another has not yet begun. And so if we can really allow ourselves to relax into this space, it can just be very interesting. And I'm going to bring our attention to the entire cycle of the breath. So we're not chopping the breath up into an inhale or a retention or an exhale. But when we first begin to inhale and it transitions, and then we exhale and it transitions, and we come back to the top of the inhale, that is one cycle of breath. Most of us have lost touch with the fact that the breath has this cycle. So to soften into the body, to just relax all of these energies, it's sometimes really nice just to bring a single-minded focus to one complete cycle of breath. Allow some of our emphasis and exploration to be in the space between the breaths, and then just continue to relax. So let's begin to inhale for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and hold for 1, 2, 3. Exhale, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Hold, 1, 2, 3. Inhale, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. One cycle of breath. Hold, 1, 2, 3. Exhale, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Hold, 1, 2, 3. Inhale, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So just continue at your own rhythm now. So I was really just giving you the framework. Stay conscious if you can of the complete cycle, Stay conscious of however long you're going to hold in between breaths and allow yourself to just melt into a sense of expansiveness there. Try to relax your belly a bit, relax your throat a bit. And very, very natural for the habits of your thinking mind to hijack you away from keeping this focus. Just keep coming back to it at whatever pace you're doing, the length of the inhalation, holding it for a time, the length of the exhalation, holding it for a bit, coming back to the top of the inhale. And then a few more, keep relaxing and just let into the background of your consciousness just the incredible importance and effect that breathing has on your entire beingness, really. That the breath affects your sleep, it affects the entire back line, it affects your digestion. It's very, very important to memory and any relationship with anxiety that you have. The breath is fundamental. So these last few breaths, just let's open it up a bit and just feel the breath permeating all of the things that it affects the entirety of your body, and then allow the envelope of your skin to feel more porous, and breathe beyond the boundary of your entire envelope and let the breath expand out and then relax deeply into your cells. Good. So you can now bend your knees and put your feet on the floor and just have a little bit of movement. Hopefully not too much compression has built up here. So allow your head to go side to side, allow your knees to go side to side. And then when you're ready, just simply roll off of this, this slight bolstering and just roll on your side for a bit. We won't take a long rest here because hopefully that was restful. So. And then let's come on up. So I'm digging through my pillows here. If you have the large bolster, please use the large bolster. If you don't have the large bolster, I think just 2 pillows will suffice here. This may look a little higher, but obviously it has a give that the bolster doesn't have. So we just want to be able to relax the upper body, the shoulders over this. So let's, oh, and I want to show you what we're going to do. So that may affect the pillows that you use. What I would like to do here is sit on the floor. So this bolster or your pillows are going a bit crossways. And I'm placing, so I'm going to need, something for the head. Yeah, so I'm not putting just shoulder to shoulder on the bolstering. I'm just letting the shoulders just slightly drape over. Yeah, so I do, if my head's going to dangle, make sure you feel safe there. This may be a little extreme, so pull something under it, a blanket or another pillow or something. And then what we're going to do is we're going to let the legs relax out. We'll stay here for a while. We'll put the arms over the head. But what I would like to do here at some point is, if we're going to roll over to the left, is to put the right foot on the floor. And I'll talk us through this when we get there. and just roll to the side of the ribs here. So the body's nice and even here, and bring the opposite arm up over the head. So we're really stretching the intercostal muscles here. Legs can relax in any way that you want. But we'll just really feel, this is like a mid-spine lateral flexion. It's quite lovely. And if there's any stiffness in the, the rib cage, this is really going to let you know that. And as you can see, I just naturally left the pillow under my head. You can let the head dangle, but that again, that's a little extreme. So they support your neck in any way that feels good. But let's start, like I said, we're just going to support the upper body, shoulders just draping over, something for the head, yes or no, legs relaxed out. Arms can just be to the side here, or you can interlock the fingers and put them up on your chest. So the arms are just as really, for the beginning here, as relaxed as possible. And then throughout this, approach to the body, this slower, more meditative, receptive approach to the body, there's no need to keep directing the breath. No need to apply any techniques to your breathing. So we really run the whole gamut between completely forgetting that we're breathing and trusting and being very grateful that the body can breathe itself, to remembering that I certainly can breathe and explore a full cycle of breathing and explore the transitional space between them. So this is just something for you to, relax into and focus out of. So the way that you breathe will ultimately be determined by the posture and how your body's feeling. So really take the freedom in that, and just, don't feel like you have to do anything with the breath except explore it when you feel prepared to do that. And so this might be a lovely time just to bring the arms up over the head in any way that feels good. So a little bit of a backward bend here. I'm hoping it's not too severe in the lumbar and mid spine, but more shoulder support. So if you want to interlock the fingers and stretch out a little bit and stretch out the elbows, or you just want to let just the simple weight of the arms, open the chest a little bit more and just feel into just the complexity and the nuance of the shoulders. This is also, just talking about breathing, this is also a really nice position to breathe in, fill and expand your lungs, and feel that they can open the rib cage, the front of the body, the back of the body, the sides of the body, 360 degrees. So we start to take the inhale breath out of that shoulders up habit, and really feel the openness, the expansion of the breathing, if you will. So we're always breathing into our rib cage, lungs, diaphragm in this 360-degree expansion. Okay, so you can relax those arms if they're over your head. And let's go into that lateral flexion that I suggested. So what I would suggest here is to put the right foot on the floor, bend the right knee only, put it on the floor, and you can use that to support you to roll over. So I'm just trying it here with the pillows. So unfortunately, with my pillows, I would just roll off of them. So I would just simply adjust them. So we want to be on the flat part of the rib cage. So yeah, this works quite well. Maybe I would have it a little bit higher. And then once you roll onto this left broad part of the rib cage, maybe something for the head if you like. You can let the legs relax out. And then I'm suggesting to take this right arm and to just extend it up over the head. So you're kind of even stretching a little bit. There, I use that word in yin, just to kind of open up and feel the just whatever you're feeling here, the ribs and the shoulders once again. Try not to roll back too much, try not to roll forward. We want to stay on the broadest part of the rib cage. And don't need to apply a lot of force with the arm. It feels good right now for me to just stretch it and then maybe relax it a little bit more after a while, but just kind of play with that. This can just also take you right down into the waist. And any time these positions feel a little awkward and there's, maybe discomfort or stiffness that you're not used to, you weren't even sure it was there, this is good. This is the intention of the position, is to bring your attention to these areas to explore. So as long as you feel safe and you're not close to injury, just sit with it, just feel it. Oftentimes, if we're not into these areas, we're not compressing, they start to go dormant a bit and stagnate. And we just want to keep opening all of these threads of energy, all of these pathways of experience. We could call them meridians or nadis. It's just the body responding to the compression and the release and the opening, so the life force can flow and move and dance, and ultimately you know that you are alive. Good. So if you're still here in this lateral flexion, pressing onto the ribs, good. Let's once again put that right foot on the floor, because we're going to roll back that way just for some support, and we'll come back to the original position. So again, if you have the pillows, you're going to have to fidget a little bit and get back with the shoulders. Again, the shoulders are just draping off. Come back now with the arms back over the head. We'll just stay here for a brief time until we do the other side. And if you bring the arms over the head and the hands immediately go to the floor, a good chance you've bent your elbows for that to happen. Just explore straightening the arms out, straightening the elbows a bit. And then if the hands come off the floor, this is more weight that you can use to pull into the neck and the shoulders. Just gonna turn around here. Good. So you can relax your arms, and this time we will bend the left knee, put the left foot on the floor, roll over to the right. So again, we want to have the body as even as possible, so we're not leaning back or forward, and not so much. May look like I'm in the armpit, but I'm not so much in the armpit here. Yeah, so not the armpit, not the waist, but again, the ribs. Let the legs be supportive here in whatever way works for you. And then this left arm is going to sort of just arch over the head, something for the head if you feel the need, or feel free to just let the neck dangle. So we want to, feel that sense of connectivity. And then you can either just let this arm relax in some way or stretch it out a bit. That would be up to you. The main thing is to feel this, just this variety of opening the rib cage, laterally flexing the spine from the mid center. That's quite something I'm sure we don't do all the time. So just notice what it feels like. And whenever I mention the complexity of the body, which indeed it is, I mean, how interesting that we live in this organism that, as much as we think we understand with, our most advanced medicine and anatomy, we only understand a sliver of the complexity of how this whole organism runs. So when I say complexity, I'm also insinuating it's also very mysterious. So the beautiful thing about opening this, this feminine space of the yin is that we don't need to overwhelm with the complexity. We don't need to, document anything or diagnose anything, but we can really enjoy and celebrate that we live in this mystery and just how beautiful that is. And then things can appear to us and disappear, things come and go. I believe these are the islands of memory that Carl was talking about that are afloat in this vagueness, this sea of vagueness. Okay, good. So let's put the foot back on the floor. Let's relax that arm, roll back to the shoulders. So again, let's just put the arms in a relaxed position here. And again, just for a few cycles, I'd just like you to go back to that rhythmic breathing. So, and notice how different this is. So initially we were just relaxing the length of the spine. Now we're bending it and compressing it a bit, stretching open the rib cage and also stretching open the movement of the respiratory diaphragm. So obviously no need to go as deep, but I just was like in this open position with this is a beautiful position for having contact with the movement and just the felt sense of the respiratory diaphragm. Just take that deeper, longer, fuller inhale, hold it for a few beats. The deeper, longer exhale, hold it for a few beats, and then come back to the top of the inhale, acknowledge that as one full cycle, and just do a few of those here. So not as relaxed here, so you may feel a little push and pull and the relationship of the breath and the micro movement in the body. How mysterious is that we can breathe and feel and think and compress and tense and relax and open. Good. So from here, let's put both feet on the floor, bend your knees, and we'll just roll off of this. It's really the best way to just come off of this. Yeah, depending how stiff you are, you may want to just ooh and ah a bit. And then we'll roll off of this and just find a comfortable position. Your choice, you can lie flat and just let your body recover. You can curl on your side in a fetal, do a child's pose if you like. So just make yourself comfortable, and let's take a rest here before we move on. And we also, I've been thinking about this quite a bit lately. This has been sort of a foundation of my own practice, is really using the physicality as a grounding. Yeah, so even if you are on the floor in a structure, you still know, we intuitively know that the earth is underneath us and we come from the earth and we are the earth. So the physical structure of the body, the bones and the fascia and the blood, this is part of the earth. And we can just feel this groundedness. We can just trust this groundedness. So the yoga posture, the shape of the yoga posture becomes this lovely sacred space for us to feel very grounded, to come in direct contact with what we're feeling. The pulsation of our energy, if you will. But very important, what I was just saying earlier, is to also recognize this mysterious energy, let's just call it aliveness, that you are alive. Life itself is vibrating within you. And why this is so incredibly important and how this really weaves into the essence of yoga is from the groundedness of the physical body, we start to explore, and this is the self-inquiry, that this aliveness, that yes, I feel this aliveness, I feel this vibrational, pulsating aliveness that I am, this is the same aliveness of everything. This is the same aliveness as the wind. This is the same aliveness as a sunflower seed. So allow yourself to feel that. Allow yourself to feel that you are life itself. And our willingness, our self-inquiry, is to just slowly allow the layers of self-identification and self-image to just drift away. And they'll still be there after class, but we don't really need to remember our name, remember our profession, remember our bank account, remember our clothes, remember our memories. We can simply open to the fabric of life itself that we are in no way could not be separate from. Okay, so let's stir yourself, all you alivenesses. And I'm going to show 3 options for this. Just pick an option that works for your lower back, not based on what you think you should be doing or where you think you want to get to, but where you are right now based on how your body is responding. So we can take the big bolster, and if you don't have the big bolster, then just simply, again, reproduce it with some pillows, this time not to be hanging over, but to support the whole torso, yeah? You may want for one of the options to have a bit of a towel ready. But let me just show you the three options. So the first option would be to simply sit on the floor, have the large bolster or your stack of pillows vertically going up to support your head as well. So coming into this nice and snug, so it's really supporting and compressing the lumbar area. And then you can relax the upper body over this. So, it doesn't, mild or intense is relative, day to day and person to person. So, really feel, is this best for my lower back right now, especially knowing we could hold it for what, will seem like forever. So we just want to use that as the guide. If this feels like you could have a bit more intensity, then take one of your towels or a blanket and just drape something over the end. So I'm really draping it over, yeah? So I have a little bit here, but it's this area that I'm really interested in. This doesn't seem like much, but lo and behold, it is. It's quite significant. So this would be just a little bit deeper, more compression. Again, the buttocks wants to be on the floor, which is a lovely backward bend. And then if this is not enough, you could fold it a little bit more. The third option, if you're feeling like you want to involve the quadriceps and the knees, and your knees are ready for this, then you could bend the knees back. And also what you could do if you would like, and you're not sure, because I understand, talk about complex and mysterious, that would be the knees. But you may want to check in, and you may want to sort of release and feel it and like, okay, I think that maybe yes or maybe no. But if it's maybe yes, again, pull the bolster in, support yourself, and we'll come into a supported saddle back bend. Yeah. Oh, this is nice. And then something for the back of the head, maybe if the head's resting on the bolster. But again, don't come into this because you think you should. Don't, the ego's got no say in how you set your posture up. It's only the body giving you this feedback saying, interesting, maybe, interesting, yes, I'm not so sure, no. So make your determination that way. So either one of those three. Yes, good. And also, with that being said, of really honoring the wisdom of your body, if at any point you want to change this, if you've decided to bend the knees back and in 2 minutes you're like, okay, I've had enough, please listen to that, release the knees. If you went to the first layer with just the bolster or the pillows, and after 2 minutes or so you're feeling, oh, I could intensify or I could add something, use the suggestion as just that. These postures are simply suggestions from me to you, and then from you to your body. So listen to the way that the body is responding, giving you feedback, and settle in from there. Any sense of struggle, allow it to relax. Any judgments, opinions even about your body, whether you're doing anything wrong or if you're getting it right, allow the judgments and the opinions to relax. And just allow, that part of yourself that, wants to understand, has the capacity to understand whatever it is that the body is intuitively revealing to you. Let that be present. And one of the ways that we open this doorway of understanding at this somatic intuition is we just accept. So whatever it is, whether it's judgments around self-image, whether it's fears of injuries or wishing things were different, or our involvement with the aging process, or whatever it is, if we can relax and have this non-judgmental acceptance, the acceptance and the understanding are interwoven. So then the body will then just reveal, it will share with you, it will give you this somatic feedback. And this is what and how we're really listening. It's nothing to do with filtering through the intellect. It has to do with acceptance, and then this understanding, this listening. It's more of an unknown to the mind, but a felt sense to the body. And not simply with the visceral sense of physicality of what we would call the body, but also developing our this very important capacity to feel a feeling, to actually feel your feelings and not have to escape into thoughts or distractions or beliefs. To be able to sit with a feeling as it arises, and again, with a tremendous compassionate acceptance and a willingness to let it reveal what it is that it wants to share with us. And what's so interesting about this, and we typically don't hear too much about this in our traditional yoga of Patanjali and our Hatha yoga, but courage is so incredibly important. If we're easing into this real, genuine, immediate, present self-inquiry, and courage in this context is not the opposite of fear. And quite the contrary, courage is our willingness to sit with the fear, to stay present with the discomfort. Again, to not have to escape or repress. And this is, part of the study, because a lot of our, bodily held tension that we want to, just sign off as, oh, well, this is an old injury, or this is aging, or this is dietary. A lot of the physical contractions that we feel are these emotional places, this emotional energy that never got fully resolved or expressed. So the courage then is to sit with this and to feel this, again, without judging, without analyzing, without escaping into thought. And how beautiful that we have the ritual of a yoga asana to feel grounded to do this. So we're not doing this in some theoretical experimental place. We're doing this in the moment, in the physical body that's part of the earth. And then whatever arises, we have that groundedness. It's okay for us to feel the fear. It's okay for us to cry. It's okay to laugh. It's okay to be afraid. It's okay to be a mess. It's all okay because this is part of the life. This is life. And this takes courage. It takes courage to see that at some level, there is nothing, there's nothing to get, there's nothing to fix, there's nothing to achieve. And we have this freedom to make a mess, to be a mess, to let it all bubble up, and to ultimately identify more and more that we are just life itself, not separate from any aspect of life, period. Very much like just free falling into the unknown. And this is very, very challenging. This is not something to be underestimated. And this is what I'm really saying, is that we come into these asanas, we evoke a certain level of discomfort. So this is the foundation. Can I simply sit with physical discomfort without having to alter it? And sometimes the investigation is more physical than not. We're exploring something physical, perfectly valid. But if we can then allow that capacity that we cultivate of sitting with the fire, yes, and sometimes it's a fire of intensity because the ego wants to act out. Yes, it has so many strategies to get away from what we're feeling. So if we can find a way to sit with what comes up, what is arising, and not let the ego act out, it starts to burn that ego up. And this allows us to connect with our somatic intelligence. And this can be, hell for the intellect and hell for the ego itself. But at some level, it's just energy. It's just energy moving and expressing and releasing. And so over and over within the sacredness, if you will, of the yoga posture, we just come back to silence. And just come back to this energy of Shiva, this energy of deep rest and silence. And it's really the silence that breaks the loops of the habits of the mind. And so take a few deep breaths here. So it's nice just to let the fabric of bone and muscle and fascia know that we're going to start moving here, and especially these longer held contractions. So a deep breath is nice, a long exhale is nice. And then if you do have the knees still bent back, well, good luck with that. But my suggestion, if you're in this supported saddle and you've been here for a while, is just to roll over to one side first and then release one knee first. Yes, and that can, that just feels like heaven. And then when you're ready, you can roll to the other side. Once you have the knees released, then just come out of it safely. Good to put the feet on the floor, have a little, movement wherever you're feeling the muscular tension is built up. And then when you're ready, we'll roll off of this, make yourself comfortable, and let's take another rest. I think also it's very, very important to recognize just the profound energy, if you will, the profound quality of genuinely relaxing and resting. So many, anatomical benefits to this. But what I'm really suggesting here is that there are things that are beyond the mind. So we can't use the mind to explore things that are beyond the mind. And if we don't have the capacity to just really relax and soften and not have to stay in this linear kind of energy, then we can't really explore these places. And this is the yin, the movement of, and the shifting of, and the transition to the yin space is one of just open-endedness, not knowing. What's unfolding is what's unfolding. And this makes the masculine, this makes the yang very uncomfortable, because it wants everything compartmentalized, wants everything specific, it wants to check off everything, it wants to understand everything. Perfectly fine, lovely to have this capacity. But the receptivity of the yin, of the feminine, is asking us to cultivate a knowingness where the mind can't go. So the mind can't understand beyond itself, let's say. So the relaxation is just very important and profound to make this exploration. And if you don't understand what I'm saying, good, stay with that. We don't need to understand it. We need to feel it. We need to cultivate somatic intelligence, to listen to the way that the body expresses itself in a very overt way. And sometimes it's giving us very clear signals, and in a very subtle way. And it's the quality of that listening that determines this, not only our overall health and well-being, but our capacity to really awaken from this dream of the mind that's kept us in this ego, the self-image kind of place. Because just one more thing about this, because the ego mind, the mind that wants to fix and categorize, believes that there's a strategy, that it believes there's a way out of this, whereas the intelligence of the right brain, of the feminine, of the yin, realize there's no trap to begin with, that we are simply this beautiful, mysterious spaciousness of life unfolding, and that's who we are, and there's nothing to fix. That's what I was saying earlier. It's okay to be a mess because we don't need to fix that. That's simply life unfolding as a mess, life unfolding as confusion, life unfolding as centeredness. It's so incredibly beautiful and mysterious. The other thing I wanted to mention about recognizing the full cycle of the breath, and that relationship of the inhale, the transition, the exhale, and the transition, because this is such a primal metaphor for everything. This is life and death. The inhalation is life. The exhalation is death. The inhalation is everything we can focus on and feel, and the exhalation is a letting go of that. It's as rhythmic as the cosmos. It's as rhythmic as the oceans and the seasons. So we want to feel this within our own beingness. We're stuck at the top of the inhalation. We're limited. So to feel the fullness, and also, but to feel the flow. So it's not about breathing more, exhaling longer. That happens as we relax the respiratory diaphragm and open the lungs. It's a matter of feeling. What is the quality? What is the energy of this inhale? And what is the quality? What is the energy of this exhale? And can I, even for a few rhythms, stay with this and let the intelligence of that rhythm wash over me? Okay, so let's come on up, please. And let's open the legs to just nice and wide. And what I've been recommending is to just play with, especially the angles of your hips here. So especially for this first one, we're going to do this one again. So, go wide and then back off a couple of inches, just so these fascial bands that are holding that hip socket into the head of the femur into the hip socket, all these bands of fascia. So we don't want to stress them too much and feel a little tightness there. We want to relax. So back off a few inches, and then coming forward, there is a little softening here of the lower back. So in a yang straddle, we would really lengthen those lower back muscles, but not so much here. Have just a little bit more softening and rounding. And then if you're able to, whatever place you're coming to feels supported, whether it's the forearms or lower, or you need some bolstering to lean on, make sure you can relax the neck and the head. And if you are not in the habit of stretching these hamstrings out on a daily basis, they will probably want to have a word with you. So listen to them carefully. Good. So let's come on up from here. And we'll continue going forward, but let's just bring the soles of the feet together. So we'll take the hamstrings out of the equation. If there is a bit of a challenge with the hips, you can always put something under the knees or the thighs. So this is sometimes nice just to have this more isolated into the lumbar spine, but that's up to you. You can do one or the other. You could do it partway through. But once again, let the heels come away from the groin enough to relax the knees as well. And then really let that lumbar area, the intrinsic muscles of the lower back, unengage. So we're not forcing, we're not lengthening or stretching. We're simply finding that fascial barrier where it starts to tug and resist, and then just not resist it physically, mentally, or emotionally. Just feel it and stay at this layer of sensation as long as you need to. Maybe you'll go a little further, maybe you won't, maybe you'll withdraw. So really, again, allow the body to guide you to just layer by layer of these sensations, because they're always changing and softening and evoking different things. And certainly, certainly don't take my word for anything, but I would even suggest to not take Dr. Jung's word for anything, but investigate directly, where is this day that you were having up to this point? Where is your yesterday? Where is your last month and your last 15 years? What he's suggesting is that these are nothing but islands of memory afloat in a sea of vagueness. Investigate this. All of these thoughts and these memories and these future projections that we, that seem to create a world for us. What are they? Find them, go into the center of them, explore their texture, explore their energy. Good, so let us come on up from here as well. And let's keep our forward bending. So what I'm going to suggest is to pull the left leg in towards you, and we'll create a square shape with the legs. and either take the right foot and bring it up onto that left calf. If this is not quite accessible, then have a little something soft in front of you and just keep that right foot out. And if you're going to come into the open position, feel free to arrange the angles. It's a love. This open position is just as lovely as the closed position because it allows you to really explore some different angles with the forward bend. If you've tightened it up and you brought the right foot on, it's just pretty much straightforward. So either one of these, and again, we'll just go right back into the same forward bend we've been exploring. Relax your shoulders, relax the weight of your head. Find some support, either if you're coming to the forearms or any bolstering you need. Especially important not to hold the weight of the skull up so you're reinforcing tension in the neck. Just like the posture itself, we're using the posture to evoke the tension, the discomfort, so we can sit with it. The same thing with the neck. We want to feel that what is holding there. The mobility of the neck, very, very important to the mobility of the spine that translates into the mobility of the pelvis. So, yes. Just relax and as gently as you can, allow your energy to keep drifting inward. And remember, the mind cannot take you to what's beyond the mind. So just allow your thinking process to relax. Just let the thoughts just gently float around. Feel your bodily sensations, but no need to judge them or analyze them. And just allow your inner space to be vast and mysterious. So let's come on up from here. And we're going to take a bit of a rest before we do the other side, but not totally rest. What I would like you to do, if you have the small bolster, get it out and move some of the filling side to side. If you don't have a small bolster, then just use a towel or a blanket where you can fold it up to approximate it and just have something soft, but a little bit of compression. So that'll depend on your pelvis, so how much height you give. But I'll just talk about it with this. This is really nice to do this sort of gentle pelvic work because you can kind of make a cradle for it with the filling. So I love the little bolster for that. And then all we're going to do, really, we want to rest from the forward bending, but I want to just get into the pelvis a little bit. Is just elevate the hips and just snuggle the pelvis. So not the lower back, not the lower back, but the pelvis. So bring the upper body down, and it takes sometimes a little adjusting to make sure you really got the bulk, the flat part of the pelvis. So from the pubic bone down should be the bolstering from the hip bones to the side. So once you open the legs out, you may even need to adjust a little bit more. And then you can see if there's no sensation, no compression, you may want to add a little bit of height, but again, not too much. So just kind of have it just right. So you're like, I feel it, but I'm not going to struggle with it. And over a minute or two, it'll just relax and that pelvis can sort of find its way. Let your pelvis find its way. And this is a particularly lovely position to bring some breath into the lower belly and let the lower belly relax. So this whole circumference of your lower belly area, the psoas moving over the top of the hips here, and then rounding down below into the pelvis and the sacrum, really responds to gentle breathing and relaxation. So we're not doing it to disturb anything or to push through or make anything happen, but just to bring awareness. So really, it's an intermingling, just allowing your breath to intermingle with your awareness, and then let breath and awareness intermingle with your sensations. When I offer this this suggestion of exploring our courage, a couple of things that's interesting about this. One, we would think that when we become very quiet and very still and very inner, that this may in some way induce us to passivity or inaction. But Quite the contrary, this is the place where we can actually cultivate and explore our sense of courage. Because in the quiet recesses of our own being, we begin to see what is it that I have been maybe not willing to look at? What is it that is no longer serving me? What is it that I am willing to open into? And so this takes courage. The other aspect to look at is, I'm not talking about courage to be yourself in the classical self-help modality. And let's make a better self, let's improve the ego. Not at all. What the suggestion is, what yoga is suggesting, is to redefine the self as life itself. That when we take away all of the labels and definitions and all of the structures that we believe to be the self, what's there? Life is there. And it's as if, I mentioned earlier, I forget in what context, but I mentioned the sunflower seed. So a sunflower seed, is under the earth. It's dark, it's lonely, it may be scary, it's all compressed and compacted. But the sunflower seed doesn't have to worry, has no concern about how to turn into a sunflower. Sunflower seed just understands intuitively. And it's not even understanding. The sunflower seed intuition is that life will just express itself through it. And that's the opportunity that we have. That's what takes the courage. The courage is to be able to sit with oneself, that I do not need to fix anything. That all of these strategies of the mind don't need to be untangled. They just get to be seen for what they are. They're tangles of the mind. We don't want to fall into the trap of trying to untangle a trap that it set itself. So to feel the aliveness in every one of our cells and how our systems take care of themselves, that intelligence, and align with that intelligence, that takes courage. Good. So I have some movement here. What's typically nice to do, and depending on how you're feeling, but I think at a minimum to put the feet on the floor and let the knees go back and forth a bit, and go nice and slow with this. So just kind of leaning into it with the weight of the knees to one side and the weight of the knees to the other side. If you're ready to come off, come off. Sometimes it's nice to bring the knees up to the chest and have a little movement. And sometimes even to explore of just shimmying down to put the buttocks on the floor and notice how this feels in the lumbar area. So especially after that lumbar backward bend we did, see how this feels, how it responded. So any passive movement here is always nice. Please take your time. And then we'll just take a short rest here. So keep moving if you'd like, or let's rest for a bit, and we're going to do the other side of that, that forward bending. Good. So let's come on up and we'll keep moving here. I just want to reverse what we did. We started with the straddle before, so I'd like to start with the square position. And this time we'll bring the right leg in first. So the right leg in towards you. So just the opposite of what we did. And you don't need to mimic the other side. If you did the closed version, and you want to do the open version, feel free. If you did the open version and you want to do the closed version, the biotensegrity of your fascial tissue, it doesn't really matter because it's all feeling it, it's all reverberating. So we're just bringing the energy in and trusting that the system is benefiting from it. So come forward, nice and slow. So one of the ways that we can ease into this exploration, and this is, certainly, at least in terms of the Hatha Yoga, the somatic meditation, this is a lovely way to ease into it. So to begin to feel like you are energy. Just to feel that this consciousness it has an energetic presence, and you can feel this energetic presence. And then also feel that there's a tendency for this energy to then contract, to want to be labeled as painful, uncomfortable, fearful, anxious, or even expansive and open and joyful and celebratory. So we can go back and forth. We can go back and forth into feeling, I am just energy. I am the energy of consciousness. I am the consciousness of energy. No boundaries, no labels. And then we can feel that pulsation that it wants to contract back into a thought, wants to contract back into a memory, into a physical sensation of discomfort. So this is the pulsation of life. This is the pulsation of the yin and the yang. This is the light and the dark, the masculine and the feminine. But the energy itself is open and vast and without limit. It's infinite. It has no labels, no definitions. It's just pure in its awareness, if you will, in its presence, if you will, in its energy, if you will. And then this play, this drama, is contracting and expanding. So allow yourself both. You want to feel this. You want to feel this primal pulsation of feeling, energy, consciousness, boundarylessness, and then, oh, what is it contracting into? Okay, so let's come on up from here and let's do the mid part, which is open. Let's open the legs first though, just to let the knees breathe. And then we'll bring the soles of the feet together and we'll continue forward. So again, nice and loose around the edges, soften the lower back, support yourself up with as much or whatever support you need, and we'll just relax into it. And then at some point in the awakening process, I guess it's a form of surrender, just maybe sort of an occurring, if you will, that we really start to recognize that just a state of natural clarity is really the primary teacher. So the state of this natural clarity, we get to see if the mind is tangled in, this labyrinth and these knots and these semantic spider webs, then from the place of clarity, we get to see that. And we develop a healthy relationship with our thinking and allow a relaxation and an observation and a distance from that. If we, from this place of clarity, feel that there is an emotional part of it that possibly has been repressed or traumatized, or some way not feeling safe to be expressed, we can then from this clarity see that. There's nothing to avoid. It's again then to enter into the texture of this emotional sense. And the same thing with the physical body. We're no longer afraid of or trying to keep at bay physical pains and aches. We see them as an invitation for information, an invitation to learn what the body's trying to express. But again, the primary teacher being this natural state of clarity. And then everything is allowed to arise. Everything is allowed then to be observed at this level of direct experience. We don't need to overlay techniques. We don't need to overlay belief systems. We don't need to overlay anything except how we're working with our direct experience. And this is not to say that external modalities and beliefs and different things can't support us and help us, but we use them from this place of clarity, not to fix, but to open up a space of genuine healing from the foundation of clarity. Good, so let's come on up from here and let's go back to where we started. Open the legs out and we'll come forward one more time. And of course, this quality of clarity, this flows from a genuine state of silence, a genuine state of stillness. To the mind that is still, the whole universe surrenders. So let's come on up from here and let's lie down and take a bit of a rest here after all of that. So just make yourself comfortable. So what I was saying earlier about feeling yourself as energy, feeling this this energy of consciousness. So we have the luxury as humans to actually lean into this energy at the level of vibration. We have the capacity on many levels to feel contraction and expansion. This is what vibration is, contraction and expansion. Whether it's music or yoga or singing, or that little sunflower seed sprouting into a sunflower, it's all based on contraction and expansion. So an interesting way to look at this is in the context of belief systems. So what is a belief? A belief starts out as a thought, and a few thoughts congregate together and contract a bit, and then these thoughts turn into an idea. This idea collects a few more ideas, contracts a bit more, and turns into a belief system. A belief system is nothing more than a mental contraction. Nothing wrong with it. Sometimes they're very important. But if we don't have the capacity to then relax out of it, to not take it so seriously, to deconstruct the belief back to the ideas, back to the thought, back to the nothingness from where the thought came from, then we stay contracted in a belief. And those beliefs are, a contraction is no different than a contraction in the knee, in the lower back, in the heart, contraction of the mind. So when we say to relax the mind, we want to go back to that energy, go back to that vibration. Open, empty spaciousness, open field of awareness, no thoughts, no ideas, no beliefs, and then thought, idea, belief. Use it, play with it, have fun with it, don't take it too seriously, and then let it deconstruct. So we can take this energy of vibration and apply it to any aspect of our life. It is life. We are that. Okay, let's see, what are we for? Yeah, let's do this. So I just want to do a reclining twist here, and I'm going to show you, I think this is the best way to look at it, one that I really like. So if you can bring your, lay on your back, put your feet flat on the floor, bring your knees up to your chest, and then, I just want to see it too, let both knees go over to the left, yeah, keeping the right shoulder down. So this may be fine if you just want to do this simple traditional reclining twist, yes. If you want to try this little bit of an alteration, you can, if you're over to the left side, the left leg is on the bottom, take the right foot and put it below that left knee on the floor, something like that. So it just intensifies it a bit. Do try to keep that right shoulder down, yeah? So you could try this. If this doesn't quite work, but you still want to add a little spice to it, you can just extend this right leg out like the foot's coming towards your head. And then the weight of that leg will pull you deeper into that lumbar area. So you can just bring both legs over to the side, not get so fancy. If you want to get fancy, you can put that right foot on the floor below the knee. Yep. Below the knee. I don't know, below or above the knee. Anyway, it's towards your thigh. So my ankle is touching my thigh. Yep. This is the one I'm saying that I like, or I liked this morning. Or you can open that leg out and just kind of play with them. Right shoulder, good to stay on the floor for the most part so you don't compromise the angle of the twist. Oh. And I think one of the most important aspects, especially when we really begin to trust the process of just drawing our energy inward, trusting that the uniqueness of the body at whatever level of discomforts we're feeling is really there to give us information and really guide us, but to appreciate that uniqueness, appreciate that, based on all the way that your senses all converge, your experience converges in this inner world, these islands of memory, that what we're really cultivating, the beauty and the depth of yoga, is to simply be present with our direct experience without needing to alter that in any way, and just sit with that. And again, this is what I was, suggesting. It takes a sense of courage to do that. It takes a sense of courage to be with what is directly without adding anything on, and just appreciating that this experience that we're having fundamentally is not only multidimensional, but it's not describable. As much as the mind wants to do that, as much as it wants to hold on, not possible. So to really feel this quality of presence, this quality of life, this isness, if you will, this is very valuable. And the feedback that you're always receiving is unique. It's amazing how it can change from moment to moment and day to day. Good, so let's do the other side. So you can bring your legs up however you've had them. If you want to stretch them out for a few moments. And then if you want to do this little thing that I said, we can bring the knees up, and this time we'll bring the legs over to the right side. So the right leg will be at the bottom. And again, keeping the left shoulder as grounded as you can. The only other thing I didn't offer is that if you would like, if you're just going to keep the knees up, sometimes it's nice to put a little weight, use a little bolster, or if you've got a heavy blanket, that can also take it a little bit deeper. If you want to try what I was talking about, you can then take this left foot and put it below that, or above that right knee, or you could open the leg out and just let the weight of that leg draw you into that lumbar area. Yeah, nice. And just continuing to drift back to noticing and not noticing as a as a technique or a rule, but as a very natural aspect of what your attention wants to do. And sometimes we can notice something very specific, very pointed, and allow ourselves to keep noticing whatever it is. Let it get more subtle. Let the noticing get more subtle, more subtle. And so sometimes that's the way we enter, through a very specific sensation, a very specific feeling. And other times we're just aware of these vague nuances, but we're still just noticing. And very powerful to allow ourself that sense of freedom, to just notice without having to judge, without having to take that thought that you notice, turn it into idea, turn it into a belief. Just simply notice. Your body is very capable of experiencing itself without the superimposition of thought and belief. Good. So once again, let's bring those legs up, and you can straighten the knees out, relax. And we're at that time where I give you a choice to either come into a final Shavasana and stay there as long as you'd like, and find yourself a counter pose if you would like, or sit up with me for a few moments and we will close our practice. So your choice, whatever you need. Silence is the language of God. All else is poor translation. And namaste.